Now I feel like I bring this up all the time, but Imhotep is yet another game that matches theme and mechanics in a way that is amazing. It's just such a great game where you're taking blocks and you're putting those blocks and building things, and that's what you do in Egypt. And you're Imhotep the builder. You build pyramids, and what do you build pyramids with? You build them with blocks. What do you build an obelisk with? It's a spire basically of blocks, and everything is just like so tied in, and it's such a simple game to teach. I like things that are simple to teach, and a way to feel very thematic as you're playing. And the other reasons why I like this game is it's not really like most modern board games right now, at least the ones that I play. So Imhotep is one of the most skill-focused games that I've played in a long time. And what I mean by that is some games have a lot of variance, and some games have a lot of skill. So skill one would be chess. Everything is open and it's all known information. There's no random chance that can affect the board. It's just based on what you and your opponent are doing. Imhotep is more on that side. On the other side of the scale is a game like Candyland. You flip over a card and do what it says. There's actually no choice by the person playing. You're just going to the next colors in the thing. And so there's a wide range of games in the middle where you have some random rolling of dice, flipping of cards, different things that create variability in the game. And Imhotep has a tiny bit of that, but most of it is skill-based. And I like having a game in my collection that fits that. Let's get into the box. Look at this. The box inside has the art. Great little thing to do to make your game feel better. Now with it set up, I can show you how it delivers on the feeling of being a builder of Egypt. So essentially, each person is taking turns placing their cubes from their little tray of available cubes onto boats. And so if brown is going first, brown puts it onto a boat. And then if gray goes after, gray can put it onto another boat or the same boat or wherever they want. You can choose to add 3 more to your little collection if you need it. You can then, if you fulfill the requirements of a specific boat, dock it into a space and then unload the boat. And these are all choices you can make, and the turns are very quick. Put a cube on the boat, put the boat into the dock, put more pieces onto your little area. And the way the game is scored is you're building different things. So building a pyramid, that's where I dock this boat. So I take my cube and I place it in the top left. That's where we start. I get 2 points immediately. So I'll move my cube in the scoring area up 2. Now this person is going to go to the obelisk. Boosh. So now, at the end of the game, the person with the highest obelisk will win. So that's a future thing. This is an immediate, this is end of round. These two are at the end of the game you're pointing. So you're trying to manage and figure out what are the best ways for you to get points immediately, at the end of every round, and over the long term. And the only thing that's really causing variety in the game, variance in the game, like I was mentioning earlier, are these cards in the market area. So if, let's say, there's a boat loaded up in this way, the person who puts the boat into the market doesn't really matter, because as the cubes get taken off, brown player gets to choose their card, gray player gets to choose their 2 cards. And, you know, it's the best kind of variance where you see the results of the variance and then you make your decisions after. Everything else, though, I'm trying to decide, is it better for me to put a cube on a new boat, on the same boat, or dock that boat? And the differences between the choices are what's most beneficial to me in terms of how much I score. Maybe if I see because like these 3 have been docked, there's only 2 left here for me to dock the next boat. So if I'm placing my cube here, brown can dock in either one. That's because it's brown's turn. They have to dock my own boat. So I basically gave up my ability to dock something and gave them the opportunity to pick the one that's best for them, worst for me. And so the back and forth of first player, second player, third, fourth is just because you have cubes on a boat. So if brown had these two, doesn't mean that brown player is docking it. The gray player could see that they're going for pyramids, like brown's going for pyramids. I don't want them to get pyramids. Instead of putting my own cube on a different boat, I'm gonna put them into the temple, and that's not as great for their points. And so this is the push and pull of the game. And I like it because I can think a lot about what's the most optimal play. And it's a lot of known information. Most of it is known information, and it's just based on the other opponents and what they're choosing to do. So I'm constantly trying to figure out what can I let them do that's not very impactful, and what do I have to do that's high impact to make sure that I'm getting the most points. That's what makes this game interesting to me. I also find that in a 2-player game versus a 3 or 4, it's a lot more cutthroat and a lot more difficult going second. I think the game is balanced where the first player and the second player can, either one can win, but I think going first, there's like 2 or 3 choices to pick between that's optimal. For the second player, there's like 8 or 9 choices that you have to figure out and make sure you pick the right one out of those to make the optimal play. So even though you can have the opportunity to get the same points and either one can win, there's a lot of burden on the second player, which when I'm teaching people, I love going second because I love that burden and the burden of choice. How do I make the best decision so that I can get the most advantage? And that's a fun thing. It's just something to note when playing one-on-one. With 3 and 4 players, there's a lot of different play against each other that it kind of disappears, but that's what I noticed. Overall, though, this is a very approachable, very thematic and fun game, and the turns are so simple and quick that I'm not sitting there and waiting for people to make their decisions. Often with games like this, you can come down to a lot of analysis paralysis, but I find that in this one in general, people are making relatively quick decisions and moving boats and placing cubes. So it's a pretty light and fun game that I've been playing a lot and I've had in my collection for a while. So I would highly recommend, if you don't have Imhotep, to check it out, give it a play. That's what I think. Oh, I suppose the boat sizes are also part of the variance of the game. Never thought of that before. Oh, and the last thing is, these are double-sided, so you can have different scoring mechanics. So nice variable setup. There's Imhotep.